See family records. Learn to find your family in the records. In this introductory presentation, we will be looking at different types of records. The different records will be for different Lydia Thompsons, but they are not the same person on each of the records. During this presentation, see if you can find the Lydia Thompson who was born about 1899, and her father's name is Charles Thompson and her mother's name is Dora. Here are a few of the records we will be learning about in this presentation. Census, birth, marriage, immigration, and death. Birth dates can be found from many different sources. Not all birth information comes from a birth certificate. Let's see what we can find about birth from census records. Sometimes a name is not given on a record, but we know someone was born. This 1860 census in Johnson, Indiana shows James and Phoebe Thompson have a female with the name of Infant, age 4 months. 10 years later, in the 1870 census, we see that James and Phoebe Thompson's daughter's name is Lydia. Though the census is not an actual birth record, often it is a source of birth we can find. This is the same Lydia Thompson. Let's compare the 1860 and 1900 census. Let's see what else we can learn about her birth. The 1860 census was taken on the 7th of July. We see that Lydia's age is listed as 4/12, which means she was 4 months old. From this, we can estimate that Lydia was born in March of 1860. This Lydia married Daniel Becker. We find Lydia in the 1900 census, and it states she was born March of 1860. Our estimation of birth was correct. Marriage records give us an idea when a family began and where the people lived at the time. Marriage records can often give us ages of the individuals, where they lived at the time, and if we are lucky, the names of their parents. This is a marriage record of a different Lydia Thompson. She was married on December 8th in 1851 in Boston, Massachusetts. Let's see what we can learn about this Lydia Thompson from the marriage record. She married Aaron Burnham. She is age 31. Both were born in Maine. Lydia's father's name is John Towers. Because Lydia's name is Thompson and not Towers, this suggests she was previously married, and her maiden name was Towers. The U.S. Federal Census is a wonderful resource for many events in a person's life. Here are just a few of the things that can be found. Names, property, marriage information, immigration information, whether they owned a radio or not, slaves, education, and relationships. Let's take a look at this Lydia Thompson in Chester, Pennsylvania in the 1900 census and see what information we can find. Her name is Lydia Thompson. Mary O. Winchester is listed as mother-in-law. This gives us a clue that Lydia's maiden name might have been Winchester. She was born March of 1880 and is age 20. She has been married 2 years and has 1 child. She and her parents were born in Maryland. State censuses are another wonderful resource, often overlooked. Let's take a look at a state census and see what we can learn about this Lydia Thompson. Here's a Lydia Thompson in the 1875 Kansas State Census. She is age 64. She was born in Virginia. She moved to Kansas from Texas. We can learn a little about a person from educational information. Some school records are available online. In the following, we will see what we can find out about Lydia Thompson's education in a census record. This is Lydia Thompson in the 1910 Wood County, Texas census. She could read and write, and she attended school. Though we don't learn a whole lot, we do know that we can look for school records. We also learn that if she signed any document, she would be able to sign her name and not use an X for her name. Military records can be filled with wonderful information, while many give us very few clues about the person. Let's see what we can find out about this Lydia Thompson from the Civil War pension record. Her husband's name was William Thompson. She is listed as a widow. She filed for a pension from Pennsylvania. She filed on March 18, 1897. This means her husband died before this, but she is still living in 1897. If she received the pension, then we could obtain copies of the pension records, and it would give her death date when the pension ended. Land records are another source. They often can help us figure out where a family lived. Knowing the location a family lived in gives us a clue where to look for more records. Here's a land record with Lydia Thompson. She purchased land from the land office in Chicago, Illinois. Lydia Thompson is the purchaser of the land. This is the legal description of the location of the 120 acres she purchased. Once we understand where her land is, we can look for her neighbors, who were often relatives. People usually move to a new location with relatives. Every one of us have relatives who have come from another country. Here we find a Lydia Thompson on a passenger list from England on the 29th of September 1873 into New York. This Lydia Thompson is age 26 and a spinster. There is an Anne and Philip Thompson listed below Lydia. They may be her parents. There is a child named Anne Thompson. Is this Lydia's child? Every one of us die at some time. Records are left behind after our death. Here is a tombstone for Lydia Thompson. This tombstone was found in the Union Cemetery, Union, Hardin County, Iowa. This Lydia Thompson was born the 2nd of December 1873 and died the 5th of April 1874. She was an infant. Since she was born between the 1870 and 1880 census, it will be a challenge to figure out who her parents are unless there is only one Thompson family living in this county during this time period, with children born during this time period. Hopefully a birth record or a family Bible can be found to find out who her parents are. Hopefully you can see that there are lots of ways to find information about our ancestors. See other presentations for more detailed information on searching specific types of records. Did you find the Lydia Thompson who was born 1899 and her father's name is Charles Thompson and her mother's name is Dora? She was the one where we learned about education. She was living in Wood, Texas in the 1910 census. Her parents are Charles M. and Dora Thompson. The end.